and welcome to our story time. Today, we are going to travel way back in time to a beautiful land and hear about one of the wisest kings who ever lived. His name was Solomon. Solomon was the son of a great king named David. When it was Solomon's turn to become king, he felt like he had a very big job to do. He wanted to be a good and fair ruler for all his people. One night, God came to Solomon in a dream and said, "Solomon, you can ask for anything you want." Now, Solomon could have asked for mountains of gold, a giant castle, or to be the strongest person in the world. But he didn't. Instead, Solomon thought about his people. He told God, "I am only a young man and I don't know how to carry out my duties. Please give me a wise and understanding heart so I can tell the difference between right and wrong and lead your people well." God was so happy with Solomon's answer. Because Solomon didn't ask for riches or a long life for himself, but for a wise heart to help others, God decided to give him not only wisdom but also riches and honor, more than any other king. And wow, did God keep his promise! King Solomon became known all over the world for his incredible wisdom. People would travel from faraway lands just to ask for his advice. One of the most famous stories about Solomon's wisdom is about two mothers and a baby. Let's imagine the scene. Two women came to King Solomon's court, and they were very upset. They both lived in the same house, and they both had a baby boy. But one night, one of the babies sadly passed away. Now, both women were standing in front of the king, each holding onto the same living baby, and both were shouting, "He's my son! He's my son!" The first woman said, "Oh, King Solomon, we were in the house alone. Her baby died in the night, and while I was sleeping, she swapped her baby for my living baby." But the second woman cried out, "No, that's not true. The living baby is mine, and the other one is hers." They argued back and forth, and no one knew who was telling the truth. It was a really tricky problem. Everyone in the court was silent, waiting to see what the wise king would do. How could he possibly know who the real mother was? King Solomon thought for a moment. Then, he said something that shocked everyone. He called for a guard and said, "Bring me a sword." The guard brought the sword. Then the king declared, "Cut the living baby in two, and give one half to each woman." The whole room gasped. What a strange and shocking solution. One of the women, the one who had been lying, said, "Yes, that's fair. If I can't have him, then she can't have him either. Cut him in two." But the other woman, the real mother, started to cry with all her heart. She loved her baby so much that she couldn't bear the thought of him being hurt. She screamed, "No, my king, please don't. Give the baby to her. Just let him live. Please, let him live." As soon as King Solomon heard her words, a gentle smile appeared on his face. He knew right away who the real mother was. A real mother's love is so strong she would rather give up her child than see any harm come to him. So, the king pointed to the woman who was crying and said, "Give the baby to her. She is a true mother." Everyone in the kingdom was amazed. They saw that Solomon had a special wisdom from God that helped him make fair and just decisions. From that day on, the people respected him even more. But Solomon's wisdom wasn't just for solving problems. He used it to build a magnificent and beautiful temple for God in the city of Jerusalem. This wasn't just any building. It was the most special place in the whole kingdom. King Solomon remembered the promise his father, King David, had made. He wanted to build a house for God where everyone could come to pray and worship. He gathered the best workers and the finest materials. There was beautiful cedar wood from far-off mountains, shining gold that glittered in the sun, and sparkling bronze. It took 7 whole years to build the temple. 7 years of hard work. The builders were so careful that you couldn't even hear the sound of a hammer or an axe at the building site. Everything was prepared perfectly before it was brought there. When it was finally finished, the temple was breathtaking. It was a glorious house for God. To celebrate, King Solomon held a huge festival. He gathered all the people of Israel together. He stood before them and prayed a long, beautiful prayer. He thanked God for keeping his promises. He asked God to always listen to the prayers of anyone who came to the temple, whether they were from Israel or from a faraway land. He prayed, "May all the peoples of the earth know your name." It was a prayer for everyone, showing Solomon's big and caring heart. And as Solomon finished praying, something amazing happened. A fire came down from heaven, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. It was a sign that God was pleased and that he would be with his people in that special place. Besides the temple, King Solomon built a beautiful palace for himself and many other amazing things. He was also a great writer. He wrote thousands of proverbs, which are like short, wise sayings that teach us how to live. Things like, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." That's a good one to remember, isn't it? He also wrote beautiful songs and poems about love and life. His fame spread to the ends of the earth. One day, a very powerful and famous ruler, the Queen of Sheba, heard about Solomon. She lived in a rich country far, far away. She heard stories about his amazing wisdom and the wonderful kingdom he had built. But she didn't just believe the stories. She decided to see for herself. She traveled a very long way with a huge caravan of camels carrying spices, gold, and precious jewels. She came to test Solomon with hard questions. When she met him, she asked him all the tricky questions she could think of. But nothing was too hard for Solomon. He answered every single one. The Queen of Sheba was absolutely astonished. She saw his palace, the food on his table, the way his servants were organized, and the incredible temple he had built for God. She was so impressed that she said, "The stories I heard in my own country are true. But I didn't believe them until I came and saw with my own eyes. In fact, the half was not even told to me. You have more wisdom and prosperity than I even heard about." She praised Solomon's God, who had made him king and given him such great wisdom to rule with justice. She gave Solomon all the wonderful gifts she had brought, and he gave her gifts in return. The Queen of Sheba went home completely convinced of King Solomon's greatness. Solomon's story teaches us so many things. It shows us that true wisdom isn't just about being smart. It's about having an understanding heart that cares for others. It teaches us that when we ask God for the right things, like the ability to help people and do good, He gives us even more than we ask for. King Solomon started his journey as king by asking for wisdom, and because of that one humble prayer, he was blessed beyond measure and became a legend. His story reminds us to always seek wisdom and to have faith. What an incredible adventure back in time. I hope you enjoyed the story of the wise King Solomon. He reminds us that the best treasures aren't gold or silver, but a kind and understanding heart. Thanks for joining our story time today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.